Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of
Seen&Heard. Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special treat for you. I know that everyone in the chat has had to present at some point or will have to, and we have an expert to talk about it today. Luka, would you tell our audience a bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Uh, how I introduce myself in my workshops is I say I help people get a yes from the audience at the end of their presentations. So that's one way to put it. I could also say I run a small boutique presentation agency. That's a fancy way to say what I do. And I could also say I'm just a presentation nerd or a presentation geek.
What's your favorite way to introduce yourself?
Well, I usually use the first one, but sometimes we don't have to beat around the bush. I really am a presentation geek.
there are not many of you around there, so yeah, we're glad to have you here today. And while we have a talk about presentations, there is usually at least a couple of mistakes that people do. And what would be some most common ones?
Wow, immediately.
Right. Why
The
should we
most
wait?
expensive question.
We all had to sit through these presentations. Come on, Luka, help us,
Yeah,
help
but
everyone.
how much time do we have?
3, 4,
Uh,
7
until the
hours.
evening. I think limit is 24 hours, so no problem.
So I would start from this perspective. There are, two sides of a medal or a coin. The one thing is, although presentations in business are super important. So how do you get a customer? You present to a potential client and then he says yes or she. How you get an investor, it's the same. You have that famous pitch presentation, and then if it goes well, you get an investment. So most of our major business milestones are there is a presentation somewhere in the mix. However, with that being said, nobody ever really taught us how to do it. Did ever anyone teach you in school how to do a presentation? Darko, Edita, that's a question for you.
No, I'm still stunned with the definition of presentation because I thought presentation is something to do with these PowerPoint things on the screen. So everything you do, even the pitch, is a presentation.
Yeah, that's a good question. So let's define the term. Although most of the people, when you mention presentations, people immediately think about the slides, the PowerPoint or whatever. However, a presentation can be made without slides. You just stand in front of people and you deliver verbally something.
No,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
You
So
can do a presentation without slides, without the
yeah,
screen and everything. Okay, this is starting to
and,
be interesting.
yeah, and actually, although it's kind of against what I do because I also help people with the slides and the PowerPoints, but uh, I would say a lot of presentations don't need slides at all. Some do, some don't. So anyhow, presentations and slides, it's not the same thing. Slides can be a part of your presentation, but they don't have to.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. So we have something new to think about how we talk around that everything we do basically trying to talk with others, sell some even some ideas is a kind of a presentation. So we don't have to have slides. And to answer your previous questions, no, I don't remember having any education on presentation
I
in
remember some
school or whatever.
tips from time to time at school. But now that you said that, I think they were mostly connected to slides rather than the art of presenting.
Yeah. So it's not that there is nothing in school. However, as you said it, what they try to teach us, especially today, I have kids that go into elementary school, so they already have to do some presentations, but the focus is exactly on the slides. You know, how many bullet points should you have on a slide, and those mechanical stuff. However, what's at the core of each and every presentation, you tell a story. And regarding storytelling, nobody teaches us that in schools, or the delivery part. And you can explain it because they are not able to teach us that. They don't know it themselves. So one part of the problem is that we simply don't know how to do it because nobody ever taught us. It's completely rational. And then the other part of that medal is that we don't think is important. And how do we know that? When do people start working on their presentations? The evening before. Always. For me, it's completely mind-blowing because I have clients that have super important presentations. You know, the presentations that can get them millions if they go well. So for a big customer or an investor or something like that. And those kind of customers and presentations, also, they call me, the day before or 2 days before the presentation. Come on. I mean, so it's always the last priority.
No, I would say they think, okay, we need only just a few slides and this is it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You put a couple of bullet points, then you read them, right? When you have a presentation, and that's it. That's what presentation's supposed to be. But I don't think that's the way to do it. And nobody thinks that's the way to do it, but we still do it. Because in most of my workshops, I usually start the workshop with the question. And the question is, out of 10 typical presentations that you receive, how many out of those 10 would you say that are really great presentations? Do you know what people answer? What would you answer?
1.
Right?
I don't know, 0. None.
Yeah. And
if they have bullet points, it's usually boring.
Yeah. And that's exactly what people tell me. I asked more than 4,000 people this question. And most often the answer is 1 or 2. So we know this doesn't work. We know it, but we still do it the same way. Oh, I'm so busy. I'm do it later, right? And then the evening before, tomorrow is a big presentation. I really have to do it something. And then you don't have time for anything but putting a couple of bullet points on a slide. And that's how it goes.
So the biggest thing is preparation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a job. It's like any other job. You have to put the work in, you have to put in the hours if you want to make it good.
Do you think that's psychological? Like, if I don't prepare that much, I'll probably do average or worse. So I won't, set up my expectations high to keep my anxiety a bit lower.
I mean, you can look at it from any perspective, but for sure, one of them is we've always done it this way. That's how all other people do it. So even though it's bad, to do it the same way is sort of risk-free. Right? Nobody will tell you why you did a terrible job because everybody expects that. to happen.
Everybody expects that the presentation is going to be boring and no one will listen.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at the faces. You don't work in big companies, but in big companies, and you meet a colleague in the hallway, and you ask, where are you going? And the person is replying, oh, I'm going to a presentation. So you see from the face and the verbal expression that people are not super delighted that they're going to a presentation because they know how it will go.
Yeah, so this is the common state of things how they are. And before we go further, we have a comment already from Samuel, and I must thank Samuel for being so short today. I expect everything from your broadcast presentation today except it to be boring. And I think we really see that it's not boring. We're already 10 minutes into it, and we have time to just read the comment. Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask you, what is the right way to create a presentation then?
So the first thing is to take time to do it. How much time, I don't know, depending on the presentation and how experienced presenter you are. So these are the topic, how familiar you are with the topic, and yourself as a presenter. These two factors determine how much time do you need. Personally, I like to start working on a presentation, let's say 2 weeks in advance. For in average, and then it's what do I mean start working on a presentation, because I don't mean opening a PowerPoint. So that's a common misconception. People think we do a presentation, we open up PowerPoint or Canva or whatever other software tool, and we start working on the slides. However, the first part, and the one that we get wrong the most, is the thinking part. To really think your topic through and what you want to deliver to your audience before doing any slides. So for me personally, I like to take walks. And I have a fantastic, my street is until the end of the street and back is 20 minutes. It's perfect to go for a walk and have a think about this presentation, to create a concept. Like if you want to build a house, you don't take the excavator first and start digging. How do you build a house? What's the first step?
You buy the property.
Yeah, and then
Well, you hire some designer, right?
Yeah, you make a
How does
project.
go?
Right.
I didn't build a house yet, so yeah, I guess this is the process.
Yeah, so you make a project, right? A plan.
Yeah.
What are you building? What is it for? Who will live in this house? And how will this person or this family use this house, right? And then based on this, you bring in machinery and start doing all the work. And it's the same with the presentation. PowerPoint is an excavator. It's a tool it's a great tool. However, the tool comes after the project, when you know what you need to excavate. So the first part of building a presentation is creating a concept. That's like a project for the house. To whom will I present? So who are these people? What do they know about the topic? Is their prior experience with this? What is the goal of presentation? How much time will I have for the presentation? So there are a couple of key questions we need to answer before opening up PowerPoint. That's the first step.
What do we
Does
do
that
in
make
those
sense?
situations where maybe you don't know exactly who the audience will be? If there's some missing points of data, how do you
Yeah,
handle
I
that?
mean, it's possible. So you do your research, but if you have names, then I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but when I have a group and I get a list of names, I Google everybody or search on LinkedIn, to see who these people are. What do they do? What are their positions? And then based on that, I can think about what kind of experience they might have with presentations. Uh, if it's a conference, for instance, then you don't have a list of names. But again, you can ask, and that's what I do. I ask the organizer of the conference who will be in the audience. What is the profile, at least, of the audience, their seniority level, the industries they are coming from, and so on. So in some cases, you can be pinpoint very specifically who these people are, and in some other cases, not, but still you can find out something.
And is there a difference when it comes to different cultures that you're presenting to, or in different languages? Have you noticed that is a factor?
Uh, I mean, to be perfectly honest, most of my work is in the region, you know, the ex-Yugoslavia countries. Plus, I have some clients in Austria and some Hungary, some neighboring countries. So the cultures of these groups are very similar. Uh, However, if you go to do a presentation in Japan, then it's completely different, right? The norms and the traditions and the how you greet people and everything is different. So for sure, culture is important and plays a role. But I don't have so much experience with this diversity as maybe some people who do more globally this kind of job.
Since you've introduced water, and we had a little chat about that in the backstage, um, how do you handle props? What is the tool? What is the excavator? You mentioned slides, obviously. Is there anything else we should think of during our present preparation for the presentation?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big believer in props because it brings another dimension to presentation. Like in cinemas, you had old cinema, 2D, then we had 3D cinemas, then we had 4D, blowing water in your face. Now it's what, 5D is something like this, 4D, 5D, I don't know. So you bring the experience for the audience to a different level. And it's the same with presentations. So I'm a huge believer in props. Depending on what you ask me, I have a couple of props here. You see, I have this, and I have this, and I have this. I have a lot of props, and this is all of the stuff that I bring to my workshops. Regarding water, this is not just a prop. I mean, when you talk a lot, you lose a lot of moisture. So you need water. But there is also another part of the why it's good to have a water with you. And then did you ever lose your train of thought when you had to present something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we all did, right? And then how do you deal with this?
I try to find something to anchor myself from the room and then get to the next thing.
Yeah, so people handle it differently, but most of the people, when they forgot what they were trying to say or lose their thought or something like that, then they start talking in circles, stumbling across words, trying to remember what they were trying to say. And the great trick that I actually learned from stand-up comedians, because perhaps you noticed that they also have somewhere in the corner of a room, they have a table with the water. And from time to time, they go over there across the whole stage. It's always on the other side of the stage. They walk there, have a sip of water, and then they walk back to the center of the stage. And then in one podcast, I heard the explanation for this. And that's exactly when they forget what the next joke is. Then they take a walk and take a sip of water, so they buy time. They buy half a minute to think about the next joke. So the water
And maybe
is,
they have notes on their table with water
yeah,
also.
yeah, that's the other part. Not just that they have time to recompose and think about. Usually on that table, they have a note with the list of jokes. So when they take a sip of water, they just glance over this piece of paper and see, oh, I'm here. The next joke is this. So it's a great trick also for presentations. You take a sip of water, people think you are thirsty. Maybe you are, but maybe you just need a couple of moments to find your place.
Makes sense. And that's it with water?
Yeah.
I thought you might sprinkle them to wake them up or something additionally. No.
Sleep is very important. If people fall asleep during your presentation, just leave them be. It's healthy.
Okay. You made your point, they're sleeping. Okay.
Yeah, maybe they are, how in sleep you really, the brain is not sleeping. The brain is working extra time to make sense of the time when you are awake. So maybe they are dreaming about your presentation and what you said.
Oh, yeah, it could be. And I'm now afraid to ask. You showed this lubricant WD-40. What do you do with this on the presentation then?
Well, funny you should ask. That's one of my favorite props. Do you know the story about the name WD-40?
Yeah, but okay, you should explain it.
So the name WD-40 is an acronym. It stands for water displacement or water dissolver formula number 40. Meaning, when they were trying to develop this product, they have 39 failures, 39 formulas that didn't work. The product was not good. And formula number 40 was the one that we are using today. So it took them a long time to find the right formula for the product. And that's a perfect analogy to the presentations, because people do their slides the evening before, like we said. And then the first time that they actually say these words out loud is when they have presentation. And is it really logical to expect that you will get it right the first time? Or perhaps it takes 40 takes to succeed.
Yeah. WD1 was probably rubbish. So
Yeah.
yeah, like other presentations for the first time.
Exactly. And what you see when you see somebody presenting, you see WD1 because people don't rehearse. And yes, WD1 is rubbish. It sucks. WD2 is a bit better. 3 is a little bit more better. And then WD40 is the stuff that really works. However, we don't take the time, the patience, the energy, the commitment to get to WD40 or whatever amount of takes it takes to get it right.
Okay, how many takes would you recommend that it would be enough to rehearse this? 40 times?
No, again, it depends on those same two things I told you. How familiar you are with this specific topic and how experienced presenter you are. It's like in sports. For instance, if you are Luka Modric, you don't really have to train that hard for the next game because you had games, even if it's the finals of the Champions League, you played that kind of a game 20 times before, right? But if it's the first time for you to play such an important game, then you have to train really hard and specific for this game. It's the same with presentations. So as long as it takes to get it right, or some, you might also take a different perspective on that, as long as it takes that you can't do it wrong. And I can tell you my example. So month or 2 months ago, I had a big webinar for an American company, and we had 1,200 people on the webinar. And I never had such a huge audience. So until that point, I had presentations for maybe 200 people the most. So it was kind of stressful for me also, although I'm an experienced presenter. And then what I did, I practiced for 2 weeks. So the presentation, the slides were ready 2 weeks in advance, which means I started working on presentation 1 month before the webinar. 2 weeks I was working on the story and then the slides. And then the last 2 weeks, I practiced each day for 1 hour. So in 2 weeks, I did 15 tries. And
People are
number
dying
15,
now in the audience. I'm just I'm just saying that I think they're all doing this and saying, "Oh my God, I need to prepare so much. My
yeah,
presentations are horrible." So
yeah,
I'm
but
curious.
how can they get better if you don't practice? I mean, how can you get better at playing football if you don't play football? How can you be a better singer if you don't practice singing? It's impossible, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but presentations are easy. You just put some slides and bullet points, and that's it, basically. Nobody expects more than that, right?
Yeah, but the funny thing is, it's it's terrible. It's terrible that the presentations are so boring, and presentations have become synonymous for something boring. But on the other hand, I always tell people that's great news. If 9 out of 10 presentations are boring, they're not clear, they're not persuasive, that means if you make an effort and make your presentation better than all of the others, it's so easy to stand out. It's so easy to stand out because, yeah, 99% of the people will say, "Oh, I need to practice. Come on, are you crazy? I'm super busy. I don't have time for that. I feel stupid doing this, alone in my room talking to the wall. So nobody does it. But then the people who do it, they immediately stand out. They become superstars.
Now you're selling it.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Do you know any Croatian mathematician? If yes, tell me
Historic
the name.
ones or what?
No, living ones.
There's one showman, mathematician, if you mean that one.
Yeah, what's the name?
Tony?
Tony Milon, right?
Yes.
Everybody heard about Tony Milon. And what do you think? Is he a better mathematician than all of the other couple of thousand professor of mathematics in high schools or elementary schools? Is he better in math?
I guess not. I'm not. I'm not sure about his exact level of expertise, but yeah, probably somewhere above average. Average, I'd say.
Yeah, we don't know, right?
Yeah,
We
we
don't
don't
know.
know.
He's maybe above average. He's maybe average. We don't know. But what we do know is he's good at presenting stuff, right? People find his lectures about math interesting. And then it shows in the bank account. Because you know how much money a professor gets who works in high school. And I'm pretty sure that Tony Milon now has a bit more than that. And the only visible difference that we know is he's good at presenting. And that's exactly that's what happens with any topic. I'm not saying you should be super bad of an expert in your field of work, but you just know how to present beautifully, and then you're superstar. So I'm not saying that. But if you are
I've seen that happen, though.
yeah, for sure. But it works short term. It doesn't really work long term. People in the end, they see that behind this super showmanship, there is nothing behind it. But what I'm saying and the perspective I'm taking on this is, if you are an expert in your field, people can't get in your head directly. How people get in contact with your knowledge and your experience and your expertise is via your communication skills. And presenting is a huge part of communication skills in business. As I said, most of the big milestones happening in our business life are there is a presentation somewhere. With or without slides, right? You can talk to a client, present your offer and your product without having slides. That's a presentation. And then if you can't present well, then people think that you are not the expert. And that's not the case for a lot of people. They are the expert, but then they don't know how to explain this to other people.
Yes, so they need to learn, and like you said, the better presenter you are, the more money in your bank account.
Yeah, because if you're a good presenter, then people ask you to come to present at the conference, right? People tell you to come on a podcast. People in the media, they ask for an interview or something, and then you become visible, right? You become the expert in the field. And when you're the expert in the field, then you get a lot of different business offers, right? Wow, this person knows this really well. When I need something from that department, who will I call? I will call that person.
Yeah, and like you said, this also even connects to things that people don't find interesting, like math is not really very popular, but yeah, it's popular when Tony talks about it.
That's a great point. I'm so glad you mentioned that, Darko, because uh, a lot of times when there is a boring presentation, and there are a lot of those out there, people say it's because of the topic is boring, especially if your presentation is the one that we're talking about. Then people we use it as an alibi. My
Yeah, it's
presentation,
not your fault. The topic is
yeah,
boring.
the
So
topic
yeah,
is
you did
boring.
good, but it's a boring topic.
Yeah, it's math. Kids hate math. Ah, it's terrible. It's the worst. But how come when Tony Millen talks about math that it's not boring? How come? I mean, try to recall the experience from the school. So the most interesting subjects in the school, were those the one that sounded the most interesting? History, geography, or was it about the professor?
Yeah,
The
there's a point
professor.
there.
The professor.
The professor, right? I think we can all relate to this. If you have a good professor, it doesn't matter what the topic is. A good professor of history will tell you a lot of interesting stories that happened some time ago, and then history can be super interesting. However, most of the professors of history, they just read the dates, right? In 1820 this happened, and then in 1823 this treatment was done, and then they just list the dates and what happened, and then kids die or fall asleep, and they say history is so boring, but it's not. There are boring presentations, there are boring presenters, but there are no boring topics. Each and every topic can be made boring or interesting. And the difference is whether you started doing this presentation the evening before or you took your time, and whether you try to learn from what is out there. You try to use the recipes that work, or you improvise and do what everybody else does. That's the difference.
Yes, and regarding the boring topics, I thought presentations were a boring topic, but I must mention a real great professor of this topic, and people should also watch, come to his website. His name is Luka. Perhaps you know him. Oh, he's just thinking what he's going to say with water. Oh, I see what's he doing.
I'm trying to think whether I know Luka. Kind of
Luca is
familiar.
unknowable.
It rings a bell.
Luca showed us a brain at some point, and I thought, okay, maybe he'll show what happens to his brain when he sees one of the many boring or horrible presentations, because as an expert, it's probably even worse for him. So now I have to hear, what do you like in the audience when you watch presentations?
So let me just show you what happens with my brain. This happens.
I thought this was a sandwich. It's a brain.
Come on, brain, proper brain. You were perhaps thinking of a sandwich. That's why you saw it, right? But it's a brain. Uh, you know, it depends. Depends what is my role in the audience. because when I'm training people, so they present to me, and then I give them what did they do right and what they can improve. Then I really try to pinpoint, and I'm laser focused on all of those mechanics. What do they do with their hands? Where do they look? How do they stand? What is their voice like? Do they make enough pauses? And all of those things that make a presentation. But when I'm not in that role, when I'm just a regular part of the audience, of course, part of my brain always thinks about this, but I'm not that harsh on people. I try to enjoy it as much as I can, because I really look forward, even though I had probably even more bad experiences with presentations than a regular person, because that's my job. But with each new presentation that I listen to, I always think, wow, what if that presentation is great? I will have a wonderful time sitting here in the audience and enjoying. So I always try to be positive, and sometimes people do deliver. It's not very often, but there are great presenters out there.
Could you quantify this? Not very often. What is your percentage of good presentations in the wild? What you see?
You already did it. I asked you out of 10 questions,
Oh, so
right?
it's the same experience as mine. Okay, good.
Yeah. It's how it is, and it will not change. The statistics will not change if we don't try to do it differently. And differently, unfortunately, means all of the stuff that I said. Yeah, you have to take time, you have to rehearse. I mean, the delivery part. So there's the thinking part. That's why I use the prop of the brain, because the first part of doing a presentation is the thinking part, and then the other part is delivering. And delivering, you deliver with your whole body, with your mouth, with your eyes, with your hands. And this part is, it's physical, and you really can't get better at something that's physical by thinking about it. If you can't get better at football, I use the football analogy, so I'll take that one again. You can't get better at football but by thinking about playing, right? And then I will shoot the ball this way. It doesn't work that way. It's physical. You have to shoot the ball hundred of times or 1,000 of times until you're sure you can get it right, that you can score the goal. So that part is physical, and that really means practicing, as I told you. So sometimes 5 times will be enough. Sometimes you need to do 10 times. Sometimes you need to do 50 times. It's, the amount of in Croatian we have we say broj utakmica u nogama. How experienced you are, how many games you have behind you, how many games you have played. And then people say, but I don't present that often. Maybe, once or twice a year I have a presentation. But in that case, it's especially important that you practice, because you don't have enough games played, so you need to do extra training for that big important game. But we don't like it, right?
Yeah, we don't like it.
We like,
Practicing is boring.
we like, what people ask me, is there a trick? Is there a trick? How can I make a great presentation in 5 minutes? Because we like to take shortcuts. We like to take Ozempic, right? Instead of working out and eating healthy.
I don't know what that is, but never mind. I like eating.
We didn't hear about
And
the
is there any? Sorry.
Ozempic or Ozempic, a famous drug for weight loss. Now all of the Hollywood stars are taking this, and you lose a
Oh,
lot of kilos very fast. However,
oh, it's against eating. I don't like it.
yeah, but it's great because with Ozempic you can eat, but you still lose weight.
Oh, really interesting. Okay,
However,
so it enhances eating. Great.
yeah, but it turned out, who would have thought? It turned out that it's actually not healthy because the weight you're losing muscle, and muscle is kind of important.
Yeah, all the shortcuts are really not healthy. And regard shortcuts in practicing, are there any? Not exactly. Okay, I'll be ready in 5 minutes, but perhaps should it be additionally in front of some home audience, a couple of people, or even pets? Would this help? Or we know a certain gentleman with funny mustache that did it before the um, that looked at himself in the mirror while doing it. Are there any shortcuts like that work?
Yeah, great question. There are uh, better and worse ways to practice. And a lot of people actually practice in front of the mirror, as you said, which I would say is the worst way to practice because you are focused on yourself. You're looking at yourself in the mirror. And it's a completely wrong focus because in a real presentation you are not focused, or you should not be focused on yourself. You should be focused on the people who you are presenting to. So I sort of grade the how good your way of practicing is to how relevant it is and how realistic it is to the real presentation that will happen. So in front of the mirror is the worst one. And then, when you're in front of the mirror, oh, what is my hair like? I mean, not in my case, but maybe in Darko's and Edita's case. Do I have, something on my face and so on? A completely wrong focus. It's better to talk to the wall and think, visualize that in that wall there are these people where you're talking to. And yeah, even better is if you talk to real people. It could be your colleagues from work that know something about the topic, but it could be also your wife, your brother, your mother, or whoever, your kids, because sometimes you get really great advice from people that don't know anything about the topic, just with plain logic. I didn't understand this. And regarding this, there is a tool on the internet that can take your speech or your writing and then rate it according to what level of education is that meant for. You give it either a written text or you say it out loud, and then it says this is for elementary school grade 7, meaning that a kid going to 7th grade in elementary school will understand this. And they've run many famous presenters and their presentations through this tool. And for instance, one of the most famous presenters out there globally is Steve Jobs, right? He's super famous for his presentations. And his presentations that are actually super technical topics, right? Computers, mobile phones, iPods, it's super technical stuff. This software graded that his way, how he presents this super technical stuff, is for a 5th grader, elementary school. So what is it? 12-year-old, 11-year-old kid understand this presentation. And that's what we should do with our presentations. And we do the opposite, right? People use the big words because they think it sounds smart. You know, we need to elevate and enhance cross-cultural collaboration and make synergistic moves, right? A lot of people, when we present, we try to make it sound smart. And we should do completely the opposite. Because when you try to sound smart, what happens with the audience? They feel dumb, right? And the last thing you want when you have a presentation, that your audience feels dumb and stupid because they don't understand you. And that's perhaps a good example from what I said. Also, why not looking at the mirror? Because you have the wrong focus. The entire focus of you presenting should be on your audience. They should be the ones that should feel smart, not you. Oh, I'm so smart, I use these big words. They should feel smart.
I think our audience is feeling a bit dumb today as well, because they're being quite quiet. Maybe they're a bit intimidated and thinking of all the horrible presentations they've done in their life. I see a bit of an analogy with language learning as well, but any learning, I suppose. There needs to be a bit of discomfort to grow, and you can't focus on yourself. And as you said, you can't overly complicate things, because that's not where the smart lies. It's in the actual connection and understanding. So what I'm curious about is, when do people come to you? When do they realize that they need help, that they can't do it themselves in front of the mirror? And what does it look like in the start? I suppose there is some fear there and anxiety, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, they come to me the evening before, right?
So this is definitely too late.
Definitely too late. And you know, when I was younger and when I was just starting out with this business, then I took these kind of jobs. You know, let's do something. However, luckily now that I'm a bit more established, I don't have to do this, and now I don't take projects. You know, we need something until tomorrow. So the first thing would be, if you come to me, please take into account that a good presentation takes time, not just for you, also for me. As I told you, I also take a couple of weeks when I'm doing something. And then, yeah, people do feel discomfort. Not if we do if I help them with the slides and that, but if the help they want from me is the delivery, how they present, how they use their voice and your body, then yeah, because you know, they stand in front of me and present, and they know I'm trying to find ways they can do better. So yes, there is discomfort, but as you said, Edita, there is no learning with staying within your comfort zone. There is no getting big muscles and abs without going to the gym or doing something. We would like that, but that just doesn't happen. So yes, there is discomfort, but it quickly vanishes when people see the effect of that discomfort. And you know, after 2 or 3 tries of the present, let's say it's a 10-minute presentation, and then I make them do it again and again and again, and tell them, next time do this differently, next time don't do this. And even after 2 or 3 tries, they see, wow, this is now much better than it was before. And then they are much more ready to take that discomfort because they see it makes sense. But you have to push through this discomfort. For me, I also felt pretty stupid rehearsing for 2 weeks for that big webinar, But I know why I'm doing that. And there's one more funny story about that rehearsal, because that webinar was also in English, which, okay, my English is fine, but I'm not a native speaker. So there is an additional element, especially with English, and that is that the English language requires much more mouth movement than Croatian. Especially some of the sounds like like we don't have that in Croatian or any Slavic language. And our mouths are not accustomed to these movements. So I'll take a prop. How I rehearsed for the first week, I did it like this. Because this forces you to have much more pronounced mouth movements and to do extra muscle work with your mouth muscles to produce any sound that's meaningful. It's like, sprinters. Did you ever see sprinters? They train with the parachute or with the weight vest. Runners sometimes train with weights on them. So they have extra resistance while training. So when they take off the weight, they are extra fast and it's the same with this. So you create extra resistance while training. And then when you remove this, it's so much easier. So all in all, I approach presentations like an athlete, because it's a physical activity. Even the words, you have to move your muscles to produce any sound. It's physical.
I'll remember this trick, but I just wanted to make a note that a native speaker does not necessarily have the communication skills.
Yeah.
And that translates into what you were saying at the start. But I saw in the chat one long comment that I'm sure Darko will love to read for us.
I don't feel like reading it, but okay. Samuel, thank you for such a long comment.
Darko, take the opportunity to present to us the comment.
Yeah, I cannot just present it because I would need to practice at least several times. So I need to do it first time, so whatever. Let's go. Someone says, I have never seen Luka present before, but the way he spoke here leads me to believe that he is truly a charismatic presenter who can speak on any topic. He definitely won me over when he said no slides. It's interesting that we usually assume that anyone can give a good presentation in front of an audience. Oh, this is really long. We don't assume that everyone can program well enough to work in in dev team or cook well enough to work in a Michelin star restaurant. Of course, you can learn almost any skill in life, but you will always recognize who has a natural talent for it. That's why I'm always happy when someone gives an exciting, charismatic, and funny presentation. So thank you, Luka.
Thank you, Samuel, for such a wonderful comment.
Yes, well, once again, thank you, Samuel, for such a long comment.
Yeah, and I'll maybe refer to one thing he said, that I can speak well about any topic. Yes, if I prepare properly.
Yeah, but there's another thing that he said, you're a charismatic presenter who can speak on any topic.
But
so this is the part that is also part of presentation, of preparation.
Do you know what charisma is? Now that we touched upon
okay, please explain what it is.
So people who we say they are charismatic is we can put this in two areas. One area is warmth. So people who we see as, real human beings that you can connect to. That is the scale of warmth. And then the other scale is competence. How competent someone seems. And when a person is high on both of those scales, he's both warm as a person and he seems competent. This combination is called charisma. So charisma is actually a skill because you can become seemingly more competent and seemingly more warm by what you do with your body. For instance, what you did just right there, Darko, you did the head nod. A head nod is a signal of warmth, as is a head tilt. When somebody is speaking to you and you're really interested in what he or she is speaking, we do the head tilt. You can smile more to show more warmth. It's the same with confidence. It's just a set of skills. And people usually say charisma, it's a talent. You are either born charismatic or not. But that's not true, as is with the presentations. It's a skill. Of course, somebody has more innate ability than others, but everyone can learn it.
A nice sweater helps as well, and some good lighting.
Yes, exactly. It all helps. I picture this from now. I'll picture charisma as someone who is hugging you with their knowledge. Okay.
Wow.
So poetic, Darko.
Yeah.
Love
And
it.
well, we at the lighting and the how you dress. Does that make any difference in presentation also?
Yeah, but people ask me that question a lot in my presenting skills course. How should you dress for a presentation? There is a general rule, and the general rule is you dress as your audience dresses. And that's also the reason why you need to be familiar with the audience, or a little bit better. But when I would take presentations in total, the impact of dressing, I think there are much more important stuff to think about than this one.
It's what
So
people
it's
look at when your presentation is a bit boring. Then they
Yeah,
observe.
if you're super interesting and you have information that is relevant for the audience, that helps them with something in their lives, then they won't care as much as what do you have on yourself, right?
Darko,
what?
I interrupted you
What?
before, so I'm giving you a chance to
I
express
don't
yourself.
remember what I wanted to say.
Take a sip of water and remember it.
Oh, okay.
Let me ask
Take a
you,
sip.
can I ask you a question?
Maybe.
Maybe? When
Make
you
it not tricky.
No. As I said in my first sentence, when we started this podcast, I told you I help people get a yes. So my job is to help people. It's not to make it worse for them. Sometimes that helping requires a deal of discomfort, as we were talking. However, I'm about helping you. So let me ask you, when you have a presentation, both of you, with or without slides, so slides don't matter, what's your biggest problem? What's the biggest mistake you think you make?
Over explaining.
Over explaining.
Darko said timing.
Timing.
What do you mean with timing?
I'm either too short or too long. So someone gives me, I don't know, 15 minutes, I'll do it in 5 or maybe in 25.
Right. And how can you be sure that you will be within the time slot that has been appointed to you? What do you need to do?
Practice, practice, practice. Thank you, Professor.
I know
and
it's
for anyone that also have similar problems, there is a website where you should get to Luka.
Yeah,
Luka also has a book that I'm buying right after this episode.
You haven't bought it yet? Oh, come on.
I didn't have time this morning. I was eating my breakfast. I'm sorry. Priorities.
Can't believe I'm doing a podcast with you and you don't have my book.
Okay, at least 50% of us has your book, so okay, we're there. We'll be better next time.
You've sold it to me, Luka. You have an additional fan now in your fan base.
So there is a Croatian version, Kuharica Prezentacija, which is sold here in Croatia in bookstores, and is it the mirrored image, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's mirror, unfortunately.
It's the presentation cookbook in English, and this one is on Amazon, so it's available globally, in both in print or Kindle edition.
And they can find
and it
these
doesn't
on your
require
website.
a Microsoft subscription, does it?
Sorry?
It doesn't require a Microsoft PowerPoint subscription.
No. Because it's a good point, because the book is not about PowerPoint. It's about storytelling, both in words and in visuals. But it's a good question, because why do I call it the cookbook? Because I see so many similarities between cooking and presenting. And one of those is that with presentations, we are so focused on the tools. And people constantly ask me, do you use PowerPoint, or which tool do you use for your slides? And is this tool better than PowerPoint? And so many questions about that. But when you take a real cookbook, I mean for the food, for creating meals, dishes, you don't find anything in there about the equipment, right? Please use the oven from this and this brand, and you need to use the mixer from Bosch or whoever. It doesn't say that, right? It says you need to mix this, and you use the mixer that you have. It doesn't really matter. And it's the same with presentations. We're obsessed about the tools, but the tool is irrelevant. If you are a good cook, meaning your cooking skills are on a high level, you will prepare a great meal irrelevant of the tool you use, right? Because you're a good cook. And if you're a bad cook, you can have the most expensive mixer and oven and pan, it will turn out a disaster. So I think we should focus more on our cooking skills and less on the equipment. And that's why also the book is about using this piece of equipment. How to think about your presentation, how to create that concept before you even open up PowerPoint. How to develop a compelling storyline, because each and every presentation is a story. How to create visuals, but I mean how to, maybe create is not a great word, because then people assume it's PowerPoint creating visuals, but the visuals are created here. A PowerPoint is just a tool where you write them down. Just like Microsoft Word. If you want to create a great novel, you want to write a great novel, do you enroll in a creative writing course, or do you enroll in Microsoft Word course? What will help you to write a great novel?
Obviously, the Microsoft Word course.
Yeah.
It will help you with grammar and everything, so it's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need the right font. That's the key.
No, that's in a novel, font is the most important. But, and it's the same with presentations. We are so focused on the tool, and it doesn't really matter that much. You know, it's about the cooking skill. It's about the writing skills. And if you know how to write, you can write on a typewriter a great novel, right? If you know how to write, you can write by hand, or you can write in Microsoft Word. Doesn't matter. You know how to write a great novel. It's the same with PowerPoint. Do you know how to create a great story, a great presentation? And do you know the technical tool to put this on paper, digital paper? These are two separate things. And people assume this is the same thing. People say the person who knows PowerPoint very well is good in presentations. No, he's not. These are two completely separate things.
And if you want to create a great presentation, there is a chef here. You see this person and this QR code where you can get more info about it. And of course, additionally, you said on Amazon these both version, English and Croatian, are available of your cookbook.
On Amazon, it's English version, and
Oh.
yeah, only English version on Amazon. Because
Okay.
people who are
and on the website there is a Croatian version.
Yeah, and in the bookstores, local bookstore chains.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you so much. And I'm starting to be hungry with all this cookbook talk and what tools you need to create some good meals. Is there anything that we forgot to mention that you feel that our audience would benefit from?
I would try to keep it simple for this one. So I think the main takeaway should be for people that it's a proper job. And any job, if you want to do it well, you need to take time to do it well. It's impossible to create something meaningful and something that will be interesting to people if you do it the evening before. You just put a couple of bullet points and then I know this topic, I will just wing it. I don't need to rehearse. Because we've all seen enough of times that it doesn't work. And then it's just the point of whether you want to do it differently, whether you are willing to go out of your comfort zone and put your presentation skills on another level. And that's what each person has to decide for themselves, right? And I think it's worth it because, as I said, people can't go into our head to extract what is in there. How people come in contact with our experience and knowledge is through our communication presentation skills. And if you are, there is this famous example by a colleague of mine. He's from Australia, and he says he has this wonderful way how to explain it. If your technical skills in your field of expertise are, for instance, 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, you're super experienced in your field of work, but your communication skills are 3 out of 10. What do you think other people will think about your technical skills? How will they rate your technical skills and your expertise? What do you think?
Lower.
It will be 3. Because that's what they saw. That's what they experienced. They experienced your communication. And your communication is 3 out of 10. They can't even come in contact with your real expertise in that field, which is 8 out of 10. And that's a shame. And that's part of the reason why I do this, what I do, because I see a lot of people that are really not knowledgeable about the stuff they do, but they don't have the tools, they don't have the skills for the world to see it. As your podcast name is a great name, it could my podcast could be named Seen and Heard.
You can't steal it now.
Did you register it?
Yes, of course.
Maybe I'll just put it the other way: heard and seen.
Yeah, it doesn't sound really great. So yeah, we were here first. Sorry.
Thank you, Luka. You've given us a great presentation here. You've given us food for thought. And I think all the people that were here with us live and all the people that are going to see it later on when they wake up on YouTube are going to have a lot to learn from this. So we are very, very grateful to you.
Thank you. It was really great.
Thank you for having me.
And Samuel, we love you. Keep on writing novels in our comments, please. Thank
Darko
you.
needs to practice reading with conviction.
Yeah, practicing the first time I see the comment. Why not? Thank you, Luka, once again for a great conversation and this awesome conclusion in the end. And see you all next